Hello, this is going to be a tutorial on installing Kali Linux and VirtualBox. A couple things before we get started. This is, education use only, blah blah blah, blah blah blah, blah blah blah. Okay, so some prerequisites. You need VirtualBox installed. That's the virtualization software. That is a given. You also need to download Kali Linux. You can grab it from their official site. They have a bunch of different downloads. Generally, just grab 64-bit. E17, Mate, XFCE, LXDE, those are all different desktop environments. I'm partial to XFCE. But, yep. And these are the stable builds, these are weekly build. If you don't know what you need, just get this. You also have SHA1 sums to verify that the downloads were not corrupted. So here you go. So you need those two things first. Now we're going to create the VM, and I'll walk you through. Okay, I'm going to click guided mode, so in case you don't know. So we can walk you through it. So, let's do, Kali Linux. I'm going to give it 3072 megabytes, aka, 3 gigabytes of RAM. Hard disk, I'm going to create one now. VirtualBox disk image. Yep. I'm going to give it a fixed size, however. And I'm going to make it 20 gigabytes. Now, you may need it to be bigger. Okay, that's fine. It's only going to take, 5 minutes. I'm going to go grab a coffee while it does it. I don't believe in cutting videos, so I will be right back. No, it'll take 3 minutes. I'll be right back. Okay, see, I had to grab coffee for this shit. Now, generally, you'll want to grab coffee when you're setting up VMs. I mean, or tea if you're one of those people. I prefer coffee. Now, why do we do this? So we got something to do while it's fucking creating this hard drive. Jesus Christ, this is taking forever. If I was a smarter man, I would have made this beforehand, but you get to see what it's like. I don't know why the fuck Steam is doing pop-ups. I set it on busy. Thank you, Steam. I'll remember that in the future. We're having fun, aren't we? Okay. Now that it's frickin' created, we can go in and muck about with the settings. I mean, I don't have to actually do anything. I can just, hit start. We gotta give it a boot disk. A disk it can boot off of to install the OS. We're gonna select the startup disk. I don't know why the fuck it's telling me to go to Tix. No, my downloads are not in Tixtati. And for that split second, all those games you saw, I do actually own. Now, it's going to automatically capture the keyboard. We gotta... Okay, well, there you go. We can do a number of installs here. Oh, let's not full screen this now. That looks fucking ugly. I'm personally going to do a graphical install just to show you if you've never done this before. If you have done this before, oh, fuck off, VirtualBox. I can tell you. Now, it's going to spam a bunch of errors about mounting. It can mount it just fine. Let me stress that point for you. Pick your region, pick your name, or your whatever you want to call it, your country. It's going to load additional components from the disk in quotes. This disk I downloaded. Now, you can actually download, burn a disk, pop it in your drive, and then allow VirtualBox to use that hardware. You can do that if you want to. I don't know why you'd want to do that though. It's going to detect my network hardware. That's fine. Just configure the fucking network. It's over Wi-Fi. There you go. Okay, now we give it a host name. You can call it whatever the hell you want. I'm just going to call it Cali. Give it a domain name. Like everything else, you can make something up. I'm just going to call it cali.local. Now we set up a root password. Now, I don't care that this is a virtual machine. You should be using password complexity. If you're an idiot and put your password as password, you deserve what's coming to you. So make a relatively secure password. Do note that if you don't show the password in the clear, you will not see while you type it. I'm going to type in my password that I want to use. And you are making a password for root. I need to point that out. As a special note though, if you don't give it a password, as it states right here, I should point out, if you don't give it a password, it'll just disable the root account. That's acceptable too. You set your clock. You want this to be correct. It's going to detect other hardware. This isn't a VM though, keep that in mind. I could add 1,000,000 disk drives to it if I wanted to. Okay, now you're going to partition it. Now, I'm going to stress again, you're in a virtual machine. You can use the entire fucking disk if you want to. Okay, look, it's the disk I created. Holy shit. Yeah, we can throw everything in one thing. Now, if you want to set up something fancy with VMs, that's your initiative. Like right now, I'm just putting all files in one partition. Now, if I made multiple little hard drives, like I could do a separate home partition. Knowing me though, I'd create a separate disk and then connect it. I'm not doing that though for the purpose of this. Okay? We don't need to do that. That's fine. Now we're gonna have, yeah, okay, that's fine. Even though it's a VM, we still want swap space. Okay? try to remember that. Although, yeah, we still want swap. Now it's gonna install. I'm gonna drink my coffee. Now, this should be a hell of a lot quicker than a traditional installation because we're not copying it from a disk. Hell, we're technically copying it. We're not even copying it between hard drives. Technically, my my ISO of Kali is sitting on my D drive, and my VM hard drive is sitting on the D drive. So we're technically copying it to the same hard drive. Now, oh, it's gonna be fun. In later videos, and I'm gonna do a couple Kali videos. I'll be showing how to use tools and set that shit up. Don't worry, we're gonna have a lot of fun with that. And I'm gonna stress the importance of, you know, only use Kali on stuff that you own. Okay, or stuff that you have the legal right to test against. I mean, admittedly, doing port scans against random people, that's, you know, it might be a legal gray area in some jurisdictions. I'm not a lawyer, but generally it's better to set up your own lab and not piss off not piss on other people's cornflakes, so to speak. So, yeah. So, you know, part of this might be going through setting up a lab, but for right now, we're just trying to get Kali working on a VM. Oh boy. As for specifications of the computer, you have multiple VMs. I mean, really, for RAM usage, Kali's going to have the most. Your VMs you're testing against, you can probably give them the bare minimum. I mean, hell, if you're testing against Windows XP machines for whatever reason, you want to play with Windows XP, I mean, theoretically, if you have a license key, I'm sure you can jump through some moral or some ethical hoops there and say, well, since I have a key, I guess I can use a stripped down version of the key, or of the OS that I can find, if I know how to Google it. And yeah, you can use that then. And that only uses like, I don't know, 80 megabytes of RAM, set it up in a VM, go to fucking town using Metasploit. It's fun. Now copying this data to disk might take longer than I thought it would take. Um, but you know, as I said, I don't like editing my videos. The few times I do tutorials, I don't edit stuff. You know, I mean, if an error pops up, I like to address it. I don't believe in giving a very scripted view on how to do things. Mainly because then if issues pop up and you don't know how to solve them and you're watching a tutorial, you just see a guy, he might just cut them out, and I don't agree with that. You know? But yeah, we're just gonna let this do its thing. I can hear my disk drive spinning up though. Sounds awesome. Oh, now that I think about it, since you're installing this on a VM, as a note, if you're doing anything with wireless, you're going to need an external wireless card. That'll only run you like 30 bucks, so it's not that expensive. But just keep that in mind if you're looking at using Kali for any type of wireless stuff. If you're not, if you're going to be using Metasploit, OpenVAS, Nmap, and a bunch of other tools, well, you should be fine. Although wireless is kind of fun. I mean, hell, you can do it against your own router at home, assuming you own it. Okay, this should hopefully only take another 10 minutes. I like to at least boot into the system first to show you. And now keep in mind, this is just setting up Kali Linux for the first time. This is not, I need to stress, that this system, while it is good, it works relatively well out of the box. It is not complete out of the box. There's a couple things you have to do. Like, for example, with Metasploit, you need to get a free license key. For other tools, you might also need license keys. I'm not an expert on every tool on Kali, okay? There's hundreds of them on there. So, but generally, luckily, you can read the help files, and they help you a lot. I mean, if you know basic, you should know basic Linux if you're using Kali. I hope you do. I hope you know how to use a terminal. But if you got that covered, then you're good to go in terms of figuring out what the fuck's not working. If you're new to it, though, that's fine. Just, stick with me. I got you, fam. I'll show you how to do some of this shit. Oh, and my tutorials are very laid back, by the way, if you didn't get that. What? Oh. As another note, while this is installing, you could probably load up a game of chess or Solitaire. Oh, wait, that's right. Microsoft got rid of Solitaire on Windows 10. They don't. I had to download it from the store. I don't want to do that. Well, if you're on Windows 7, you could, open up some Solitaire and play that while you're waiting. Or, open up DOSBox and play like a DOS game or something while you're waiting. Maybe play Zork or something. Probably should have launched fucking Zork. I could have been playing it all this time. That'd be like kind of like, yeah, we're doing a tutorial, except we're fucking waiting for it to install. So here, we'll play a text-based adventure. But that's okay. Oh, excuse me. I apologize. I did not hit my mute switch in time. Didn't reach it in time for that either. Yep. Okay. Ah, here we go. Okay, it's almost all. We almost there. For fuck's sake, Steam. Oh, whatever. Now it's configuring the package manager. We will use a network mirror. We're not using an HTTP proxy. If you're using an HTTP proxy, fucking fill it in here. Don't click through the screen. You will, be pissed if you had to set up your HTTP proxy information, forgot to do it, and wondered why it errors out. You won't have a good time. I don't use one. I don't need to use one. It's going to configure apt, retrieve file list. For the VM, it is using my router's DNS servers. Okay. Something to note. You can switch it on, or you can switch to whatever the hell you prefer when you get into the system. Now this screen will hang. It has always done this ever since it was, even before when it was Backtrack. It has always done this. You think it's not doing anything? I guarantee you it's doing something. Just sit there and let it think. In the non-graphical user interface, in the non-GUI installation of Kali, this screen doesn't hang because it's not a GUI. You just see it doing, you see what it's doing. So don't be too alarmed. See? Now it's also going to install the Grub bootloader. Remember, this is a VM. I'm going to have to reiterate that a couple times. And yes, we will install it to the master boot record. We're going to install it to our dev SDA device, and just to verify it's ATA VBox hard disk, you know, bunch of little unique identifier, the hard disk we just created. If for whatever reason you're using VM software and it decides to, you know, actually list your hard drives and lets you interact with your physical hard drives in the sense of overwriting your boot manager, then question it. It's also going to disable the net install CD and sources list. You know, it's pretty normal. It's also going to set the hardware clock and just do, I guess, do a lot of Linuxy stuff. Yeah, that's we almost done. We almost made it through this. We're having a lot of fun today, aren't we? I am. I don't know about you guys. Okay, the installation is complete. We can hit continue. It's going to very quickly finish. Sometime today would be nice. Okay. Now, there's a key point to remember once it finishes, and I'll bring that up when it restarts. I'll talk about it now, though. You're going to want to go into Devices, Optical Drives, and make sure that the disk is removed. Or else it'll boot to the disk. And you'll be like, why the fuck is it booting up a live instance of Kali again? Do not forget to do that. It's not that hard to do either. Although if you do forget, you'll realize that you forgot. Okay, now it's done. Now it's gonna, well, kill everything. Okay, well, this time it's like, hey, don't worry, we got you. It automatically removed the disk image. Every time I've used VirtualBox, it leaves it in, and then we have to physically remove it. So just, just check. It's not that hard. So now we can select. We're just gonna do regular boot. Now, if you also notice, it only had me set up a root account. Okay. Also going to do a little integrity check. I don't know why it's doing this, but it's fine. Let it do its thing. As long as it eventually boots. Notice the screen gets a little bit bigger. Oh, we're going places. Now we can use right control to uncapture. We want to keep it captured. Now if you set up a root password, your login is going to be root. Your password is going to be whatever you put. If you disabled the root account, your login, it should prompt you to create a user account. So just keep that in mind. All right, we're going to log in. It's going to take a minute. It's thinking. I think in the next couple videos, oh, okay, we can use default config. That's fine. Hi, welcome to Kali Linux. Oh, look at all these tools. Oh, will I go through every single one? I don't know. Probably not. We have our system tools here. And there you go. You successfully installed Kali Linux in a VM. Now, you might notice though, it is a little choppy. It may appear choppy to you. So let's see about fixing that. I'm just gonna straight up power off the machine. And I'm gonna go to settings. I'm gonna go to display. I'm gonna give it more video memory and enable 3D acceleration. And then I'm gonna hit start and see if it's a little bit better. Okay? That normally helps a ton. Now, it's also gonna, tell me about the fact that, yeah, I don't need to capture the mouse cursor. That's fine. It's gonna do another integrity check on the file system, the hard drive, which is fine. We're gonna log in. It's gonna take a minute to think. Oh, what the literal fuck? Okay. And notice it's not as choppy now, because I gave it more video memory. And yeah, backdoor factory. Oh, I was using an older version of Kali. I didn't notice they added this. Sorry, I was using an older version of I was using Backtrack. So there you go. As now a couple special notes about Kali Linux before I begin. Now, if you're installing this not in a virtual machine, if you're installing this to a desktop, for the love of Christ, do not use this like your everyday computer. You should be using this for pen testing, for any type of security stuff you do, and without any exceptions, you should never use it for any type of personal stuff. I cannot stress that enough. Okay? This operating system is inherently insecure. That's not bad. It's just this is like a specialty thing here. This shouldn't be common sense. Or this should be common sense. This is made for doing a certain thing. I'm pretty sure the Backtrack team, or sorry, I keep calling them the Backtrack team. I know them as that. But it's the guys that made Kali. They used to call it Backtrack. But I'm pretty sure the Kali Linux team even say, or even recommend that you install this in a VM or you run this as a live CD. I believe they don't actually recommend it to ever be installed on a desktop. Mainly, now this is my theory, but mainly because they will, well, because most people will use it like, it's their normal desktop OS and, open up their web browser and check their personal email. No, just don't fucking do that. Okay? I'd personally ignore that, like, the multimedia and, all the fun little, all this random stuff is here. I'd focus on, your tools and you using them and the stuff to use them, and that's it. That's just, my expert opinion. You can disagree with me if you want. I don't really give a fuck. But this is a tutorial. Yeah, this is it. It was that simple. I'm gonna take that. I'm actually gonna cleanly shut it down instead of telling the VM to go get bent and turn off. When you want to, oh, look at that. You want to cleanly shut it down. Yeah, that is a tutorial. 30 minutes to install it. Now, I was recording all of that. If you're not recording it, it's going to take less time. Okay? Alright. Next couple of videos, I might use some tools like Nmap. I might show some initial reconnaissance on a target machine. We'll see. But, let me know how you like this. Give me some feedback. I appreciate feedback. If you have any questions, or you're trying to do this or follow this along, and you get stuck or you get errors, let me know in the comments. I do reply. Alright, have a good day.